When they called me a disgrace, I believed them. When they cut me out of the family legacy, I thought my story was over. But tonight, as flashbulbs explode and the world chants my name, I stand in front of the company they tried to erase me from, as its new face, its CEO, and its redemption. My name is Jenny Whitmore, and once upon a time, I was the shame of my family. Not because I did something wrong, but because I refused to live by their rules. The Whitmore family was practically royalty in our city, founders of Whitmore and Company, a heritage fashion empire built on sophistication, legacy, and control. Our mansion wasn't just a home, it was a museum of pride. Every wall had portraits of ancestors who smiled down with smug perfection. And in that world of flawless pearls and glass chandeliers, I was the imperfection, the one who dared to dream differently. While my mother, Eleanor Whitmore, hosted lavish soirees and my father dictated business from behind mahogany doors, I spent my time sketching, not gowns for high society, but bold, unorthodox designs. Gowns made from recycled silk, painted denim, metallic thread, a rebellion in fabric. Jenny, my mother would sigh, eyes cold and tired. No true Whitmore woman lowers herself to street fashion. Street fashion. That's what they called it. But I saw it as art, the raw beauty of rebellion stitched with courage. When I turned 23, I made a choice that shattered our fragile peace. I opened my own boutique. Tiny. Hidden in an alley. Walls painted by my friends. And worst of all, I used my own name, Jenny W., not Whitmore. The press called it a scandal. Whitmore heiress turns her back on family tradition. My parents were mortified. They cut me off financially, erased my name from company records, and refused to speak to me. At the next family gala, my father stood on stage and announced my disownment in front of hundreds of guests. From this day, he said, we acknowledge only one Whitmore, the legacy, not the mistake. I remember standing at the back of that glittering ballroom, champagne glass trembling in my hand, trying not to break. But something in me shifted that night. Their words didn't crush me, they crystallized me. If they wouldn't let me be part of their legacy, I would build my own. The first year was brutal. I lived in a rented apartment barely large enough for a sewing table. There were nights I stitched until my fingers bled, then sold the designs on social media just to pay rent. I faced rejection after rejection, boutiques laughed at me, stylists ignored me. But my fire didn't fade, it grew. One day, a local influencer wore one of my jackets, hand-painted denim with embroidered wings on the back. The picture went viral. Overnight, Jenny W. Designs *** became the name on everyone's lips. Orders flooded in. Magazines called. And soon, the very world that had once mocked my work began to worship it. But the true turning point came 2 years later, when Vogue Italia invited me to Milan Fashion Week to close the show. My designs walked the runway to thunderous applause. And when the models bowed, the spotlight hit me. For the first time, I wasn't just seen, I was celebrated. The next morning, headlines read, Jenny W., the future of sustainable luxury. And that's when I got the call I never expected. It was from Whitmore and Company. Their creative director had resigned, their brand was fading, their numbers were falling. And now, the board wanted me to come in as a consultant. The irony made me laugh. They had erased me from history, and now they needed me to save it. When I walked into the Whitmore headquarters, I could feel the weight of old portraits staring down at me, my ancestors frozen in disapproval. My father sat at the head of the boardroom, pale and hesitant. Jenny, he said stiffly, we may have misjudged your capabilities. I smiled softly. No, father. You judged me perfectly. You just didn't expect me to rise. For months, I worked quietly within their failing empire. I rebranded everything, from logo to production ethics, from stale luxury to vibrant modernity. Sales skyrocketed. Media buzzed about Whitmore's dramatic rebirth. But what they didn't know was that every design featured subtle traces of Jenny W. signatures, my lines, my colors, my message of freedom. I wasn't just saving their brand. I was reclaiming it. Then came the annual Whitmore Gala, the same event where my father had once declared me a disgrace. This time, I was the guest of honor. As I walked in, cameras flashed, voices murmured my name. The same society that once whispered behind my back now reached out to shake my hand. My father took the stage again, gray and humbled. This year, he began, we celebrate the visionary who brought our legacy back to life. Please welcome, my daughter. Applause thundered through the hall. But I didn't smile for the crowd, I smiled for the little girl who once sketched gowns in secret. When the lights dimmed and the screen behind me lit up with the new brand reveal, 3 words appeared: Whitmore x Jenny W. The crowd gasped. It wasn't just a partnership. It was a takeover, my takeover. The company that had cast me out was now bearing my name beside theirs. And for the first time in Whitmore history, the legacy belonged to a woman who refused to be erased. After the event, my mother approached me, tears glistening in her eyes. I was wrong, she whispered. You didn't disgrace us, you saved us. I hugged her, not out of bitterness, but peace. Because I had learned something powerful: forgiveness is the final luxury. Now, as I stand in front of the Whitmore flagship store, my face on the giant billboard above, I see customers walking in, wearing the designs they once mocked. Every stitch tells my story. Every tag bears my truth. They called me a disgrace. But grace was exactly what they lacked. And now, I am the face of the legacy they tried so hard to erase. Because legacies aren't inherited, they're earned. And mine? Mine is stitched in fire, resilience, and gold.